As women move through their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, hair stops being just hair. It starts to feel like a mirror that reflects how we see ourselves, and sometimes, that reflection doesn't match the way we feel inside. You might still feel energetic, curious, and full of life, but when you look in the mirror, your hairstyle may feel tired, flat, or stuck in another decade. That disconnect can quietly chip away at your confidence. Very often, it's not that the hairstyle is bad. It's just that your face, your lifestyle, and your hair texture have changed, while your cut or color stayed the same. Certain choices, like keeping all the length heavy around your jaw, or styling your fringe in a harsh, downward line, can accentuate sagging or shadows instead of lifting and brightening your features. The good news is that you do not need a drastic makeover to look more youthful. You simply need a few thoughtful updates that work with who you are today. In this video, you and the mirror become allies again. Together, we'll gently decode what your current hairstyle might be saying about your age. Whether it's the length that drags you down, the volume that looks a little helmet-like, or a color that's turned too dark and severe over the years. Then step by step, you'll hear about realistic fixes, soft layers, modern bobs, playful texture, and flattering fringes that can bring back softness and movement without losing your identity. So as you listen, imagine yourself sitting in a calm, sunlit salon. This is your time. This is a gentle invitation to see your hair not as a problem to hide, but as one of the simplest ways to honor your age while still feeling beautifully, unmistakably you. Long, heavy length that pulls you down. When hair has been long for many years, it can start to feel like a comfort blanket, especially if you've been told that long hair makes your face look slimmer. But as you move past 50, very long, heavy hair can actually pull the eye downward and emphasize jowls, necklines, and any sagging around the lower face. The weight of that length can flatten your roots, making the top of your head look deflated while all the bulk sits at your shoulders or chest. Instead of creating a soft flowing frame, it forms a curtain that hides your features and makes your expression seem more tired than it really is. Even if your hair is healthy, the sheer amount of it in one block shape can add visual years. What this style often says about your age is, "I haven't updated my look in a long time." It hints at a past version of you, and can send the message that you're holding on to a rule from decades ago. Like the old belief that longer is always more feminine or flattering. But your face shape, bone structure, and skin tone have likely evolved, and your hair should evolve alongside them. When long hair has no face framing movement, no soft graduation, and no variation in length, it tends to sit like a sheet, accentuating any downward lines that naturally appear as we age. The fix is not necessarily chopping everything off, unless you genuinely crave a big change. Instead, think of it as lightening the load. Ask your stylist for a length that still feels like long to you, but lifts the heaviest part away from the chest and shoulders. Maybe a cut that sits between the collarbones and the top of the bust, or a modern lob that kisses the collarbone. Add long, soft layers that begin around the cheekbones or just below, allowing pieces to gently fall forward and then sweep away from your face. This creates vertical movement instead of a horizontal line that drags your features down. A subtle face frame can also work wonders. Pieces that lightly graze the jaw and soften into the rest of the hair will blur any harsh angles and draw attention back to your eyes and smile. If your hair is thick, gentle internal layering can remove bulk without making the ends look thin or wispy. If it's fine, carefully placed layers around the face paired with a slightly blunt perimeter can keep your hair looking full yet airy. The moment you see that first bit of swing and movement near your cheekbones, you'll notice how your whole face looks a little more open and lifted. And you won't have lost your long hair, just the extra years it was adding. Outdated shapes and helmet volume. Some hairstyles age you not because of the length, but because of the shape and styling habits that come with them. A common trap for many women is clinging to a cut that was trendy 15 or 20 years ago. Overlayered, rounded shapes with lots of hairspray, stiff bangs, or extreme backcombing at the crown. These styles create what stylists often call helmet hair, where the hair looks solid and immobile, sitting on top of your head like a separate object rather than part of your natural movement. The result can be a harsh, dated look that instantly signals a specific decade. What this kind of hairstyle quietly says about your age is, "I stopped updating my look when this was fashionable." The very elements that once felt glamorous, sky-high volume, extremely rounded blowouts, heavily teased crowns, now act like time stamps. Instead of framing your face, the hair lifts so far away from it that your features get lost beneath a dome of volume. Too much height on top can actually make your face look longer and more severe, while flipped under ends in a perfect curve can emphasize the width of the jaw and draw a hard line around your face. The fix is not to give up on volume altogether, but to redistribute it and soften the overall shape. Modern volume is more about gentle lift at the roots and airy movement through the mid-lengths and ends, rather than a perfectly set, unmovable style. Talk to your stylist about removing bulk in areas where your hair tends to puff out, often around the sides and lower back, while keeping some fullness near the crown and through the top layers. Light, strategic layers can help your hair fall in soft, broken lines instead of one solid bubble. Styling products make a big difference here as well. Heavy hairsprays and stiff mousses can freeze your style into something that looks more like a wig than your own hair. Opt instead for lighter creams, volumizing sprays at the roots, and soft hold textures that allow your hair to move and bounce when you walk. If you've been curling your hair inward toward your face, experiment with directing the waves away from your face instead. This simple change instantly opens up your features and keeps the eye moving upward. A contemporary shape to consider is a softly layered bob or lob with broken, lived-in texture. These cuts keep a polished outline, but introduce enough irregularity that your hair looks effortless instead of done. For short hair lovers, a textured pixie with gentle height through the top and a bit of softness around the hairline can look chic, modern, and incredibly youthful without any trace of helmet effect. The message you begin to send is no longer, "I'm stuck in the past," but "I'm current, relaxed, and comfortable in my own skin." Flat, lifeless hair with no movement. On the opposite side of helmet hair is the style that simply gives up on volume altogether. Flat, lifeless hair that clings to the scalp can make even the most vibrant woman appear drained or unwell. When there is no lift at the roots and no movement through the lengths, light can't play through the hair, and everything looks a little duller. Your eyes, your skin, even your smile. This effect can be especially strong if your hair is thinning, fine, or has lost some of its natural curl or wave with age. What this style often says about your age is, "I'm tired." Even if you are anything but. The eye naturally follows lines, and when your hair lies completely flat, those lines tend to draw downward, tracking every slump in posture or curve of the jaw. Without shape, the hair becomes more of a backdrop than a frame, and any changes in your facial contours, like softened cheeks or a less defined jawline, become more prominent. If your hair is also all one length and one solid color, the lack of dimension can add a few more unintentional years. The fix begins with reintroducing life through both the cut and the styling. Ask your stylist for subtle layers that are tailored to your hair type. Minimal, invisible layers for very fine hair, or more defined, textured layers if your hair is thicker. The goal is to create gentle lift around the crown and some bounce in the mid-lengths so that your hair moves with you. Even changing your part. Shifting from a heavy, deep side part to a slightly off-center or soft side part can instantly change the way your hair falls and how full it appears. For daily styling, think in terms of air rather than weight. Use lightweight volumizing products at the roots and avoid heavy oils or thick creams near the scalp, saving richer products only for the ends if needed. Blow drying with your head tilted forward, lifting sections of hair at the roots as you go, will build natural-looking height without making your hair stiff. If you like to wear some wave curl sections away from your face, and then gently brush them out to create soft, modern movement instead of tight ringlets. Certain cuts can be especially flattering here. A mid-length cut with long layers and face-framing pieces works beautifully for women who want to keep some length, but need more motion. For those open to going shorter, a layered bob or a soft shag-style cut can make thin or fine hair appear fuller, fresher, and more playful. As soon as your hair gains that little bit of lift and swing, your whole presence shifts. You look more awake, more engaged, and more aligned with the energy you feel inside. Harsh lines, heavy bangs, and color that ages you. Sometimes it isn't the length or volume that adds years, but the sharp lines and strong contrasts in your cut and color. Very blunt, heavy bangs that form a straight bar across the forehead can create a curtain that shortens the face and emphasizes any lines around the eyes or between the brows. Similarly, A severe one-length cut that ends exactly at the jaw can highlight jowls or a soft chin, turning your hair into a frame that points directly at the areas you might feel most sensitive about. Color that is overly dark, overly warm, or overly cool for your skin tone can deepen shadows under the eyes and make your complexion look harsher than it is. What this combination of harsh lines and strong color contrast often says about your age is, I'm fighting change. Very dark, saturated color that doesn't match your natural undertone can look inky and unforgiving, especially when the hair is styled in sharp, rigid shapes. Bleach that is too bright or too ashy can wash you out, making the skin appear more sallow and every fine line more noticeable. When hair is cut to angle downward or when bangs slope heavily onto the face, those lines echo the direction of gravity, which can subtly intensify the sense of droop. The fix is to soften, not erase. Instead of thick, blunt bangs, consider lighter, wispy fringes or soft side bangs that blend into the rest of your hair and gently skim across the forehead. Curtain bangs that open at the center and sweep toward the temples can beautifully highlight the eyes and cheekbones while creating a lifting effect around the face. If you love a bob or lob, ask your stylist for a slightly textured or angled version that is a touch longer in front, or one with micro layers at the ends to break up the severity of the line. Color-wise, think diffused rather than solid. Soft highlights and lowlights around the face can brighten your features without creating harsh stripes or high contrast. For women embracing their natural silver or gray, blending techniques like lowlights or subtle balayage can ease the transition, making the color look intentional and luminous instead of flat. If your hair is currently very dark, gradually lightening a shade or two and adding dimension can take years off while still feeling authentic to you. The overall aim is harmony. Gentle shapes that echo the softening contours of your face and shades that match the warmth or coolness of your skin rather than fighting against it. When the lines around your face bend and move with you, and your color glows instead of overwhelms, your hair stops shouting and starts whispering something far more beautiful. That you are aging with intention, softness, and grace. Modern, youthful cuts that lift and flatter. After exploring what might be adding years, it's uplifting to focus on the hairstyles that do the opposite. Cuts that gently lift, soften, and brighten your face, without pretending you are someone you're not. Some shapes have consistently proven to be especially flattering for women over 50. Soft bobs, textured lobs, modern shags, and carefully tailored pixies. These cuts share a few things in common. They create movement, frame the face in a forgiving way, and are flexible enough to adapt to different textures and lifestyles. A softly layered bob that sits between the chin and collarbone can be transformative. It frames the face without closing it in, and when paired with light face framing layers or a gentle side bang, it can highlight your cheekbones and eyes beautifully, adding subtle texture to the ends, rather than leaving them perfectly blunt. Keeps the style from looking boxy or severe. A lob, which grazes the collarbone, is often called a safety cut for a reason. It maintains a sense of length and femininity, while instantly modernizing your overall look. For those who crave a touch of edge and playfulness, a modern shag or layered cut with soft, piecey ends can be a lovely choice. These styles introduce movement all around the head, making thin hair appear fuller and thick hair more manageable. They often pair beautifully with wispy fringes or curtain bangs, which break up the forehead and add interest without feeling heavy. A shag-inspired cut can also bring out your natural wave or curl, allowing you to spend less time with heat tools and more time enjoying how effortlessly your hair falls. Shorter cuts like pixies can be incredibly youthful when tailored to your features. A textured pixie with some length on top and softness around the hairline highlights your eyes, jawline, and neck, giving you a light, lifted look that radiates confidence. Styles like the bichia, a hybrid between a bob and a pixie, offer the best of both worlds. Short enough to feel fresh and low maintenance, but long enough to play with styling. With all these cuts, the key is personalization. Talk with your stylist about your face shape, hair texture, and how much styling you realistically want to do each day. When your haircut supports the life you're actually living, rather than the life you used to live, something softens inside. You feel less like you're chasing youth and more like you're aligning your outer appearance with the inner woman who has grown wiser, kinder, and more at ease. That is the quiet magic of a modern, thoughtful cut. It doesn't erase your age. It celebrates it while giving your natural beauty a gentle, flattering frame. Final thoughts. Your hairstyle is not about hiding your age. It's about honoring it in a way that feels light, current, and true to who you are now. When you let go of cuts and colors that weigh you down or cling to another decade, you create space for a softer, more relaxed beauty to come through. Small changes, like a few face framing layers, a gentler fringe, or a lighter, more dimensional color, can quietly refresh your whole presence. As you think about your own hair, try to move with curiosity instead of criticism. Ask yourself, does this style still reflect the woman I'm becoming, or just the girl I used to be? You deserve a look that supports your confidence every time you catch your reflection. Whether you're heading out to dinner, meeting loved ones, or simply making tea in your kitchen. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path.